So to me, zero moment of truth means when somebody, there's a stimulus, they learn about a product, and the person then goes and wants to develop a relationship by which they could be researching more about that product, trying to find out more about price comparisons about that product, or just learning more about it. And that is the point where they are getting a lot of information, and hopefully that will influence whether they will buy the product, whether they will not buy the product. In the past, people were not necessarily doing that between the stimulus and the shelf. That was happening on a very gradual basis, and most of the decision was happening when they were right there in front of the shelf looking at the products, and maybe price was a factor that was actually helping make that decision. But now people are, the ZMOT is happening somewhere in between that stimulus that they're getting from TV ad or a print ad or even an online banner to actually when they end up at shelf. And that research, that time that people are taking to find out more about the product is really the zero moment of truth for the brands. The brands are, whether it is being part of search, so when people are researching, showing up, having the relevant information there, driving them to the relevant landing pages from their own asset perspective, making sure that when the content is given in the hands of the consumer, it actually answers the questions she has. So if she's looking for information about price, then we want to make sure we give her the information about the price. But if she's looking for information about the product or even about the category, so if she's not yet decided whether she's going to buy this pasta sauce, all she's looking for is recipes and how that recipe can inspire her to think about the dinner. That's all she's looking for at that point. So the brand really needs to be more of a utility at that point, giving her the information, and hopefully she'll end up picking up your pasta sauce. But before she decides that, it's really important to understand what is she looking for and how can the brand really message to that particular need. I think with ZMOT, one of the things that the clients are getting is a lot of data about the path to purchase. And what they are using that for is to build insights. Because data for data's sake is really not what we need more data points for. What we really need to understand is what is that consumer journey. And we know that consumer journey has changed a lot with technology. So what the consumers are getting from this is, or the brands are getting from this is more consumer insights, and really how those consumer insights can be applied then across their marketing channels, across their marketing messages. That is the key. So if the consumer really wants to see more recipes, maybe the way to talk to her is through that lens instead of just talking to her about the ingredients of the product. So it's really understanding that consumer journey. What does she want across what devices is she looking? And then how do you want to be part of that?